Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about this week's update for PSO2 NGS, which involves a new Crimson Realm and some new augments to go along with it. For this Crimson Realm, it is a new addition to the various combat zones for a limited time. And as you can see here, there's a purple effect over Belagon Ruin's name and this little symbol. This shows that the Crimson Realm is active in that area for its highest rank, the level 85 one. This does change daily, though, at 3 p.m. Eastern, going back and forth between the ruins and the newest rank for Lost Central, which is also level 85. So some days it may be here, and some days it might be over here for the duration of the event. But for what the Crimson Realm does to these combat zones is that it adds a couple of new trials to them that change the way that you tackle combat zones that have it active. There's a new changeover trial, which can appear after completing any regular trial, which involves a starless boss that you have to kill within a certain time, and also have nobody get incapacitated as a side mission. I haven't seen anything else beside that. There might be other side missions, but once you complete that trial without failing, you actually get one of two things. The next PSC burst that you trigger is guaranteed to be a Forte, so all golden enemies, or it's guaranteed to have a PSC Encore, so a second PSC burst on top. You can tell which one you receive because it gives you a prompt right after you complete it, but if you miss that, you can actually check next to your PSC burst gauge bar in the upper left, and it gives you either an E symbol for the Encore or the F symbol for the Forte. It also has another number next to it, usually like a 1. I don't know if you can actually stock these, but that kind of indicates that you can. I personally never got multiple changeover trials before a burst occurred, so I don't know for certain on that. Regardless, this changes how you go after trials, because usually you would just wait for 4 on the burst gauge bar, and then you would complete the trial that showed up. But now you actually just want to go after trials, constantly trying to get that changeover trial to happen to guarantee Fortes or Encores. For another addition, there is a new trial with a Driveris boss, which is actually quite difficult to fully kill. But thankfully you don't need to do so because it's just like Lucille Exploration, so every 25% of HP that you knock off of it within the time limit, you get a bigger reward once it's done. You have 3 minutes to dish out as much damage once somebody activates the trial, and the best way to do that with this one is actually a little bit different than other bosses in the game, because it has an interchanging weak point on one of its 3 faces. So it has a purple node that you got to look out for. It can either be on the left, right, or middle face. If you don't hit this purple node, you're doing way less damage than what you should be doing. And if you hit these enough, it can break them, which leads to extra downs, which reveals a yellow weak spot. And that yellow weak spot, once you hit that, is going to cause extra damage more so than that purple node. That's the main thing with this boss. You can also cause regular downs with physical or elemental attacks, but if you really want to try to kill this thing on top of that, you do need the gear for it. So you can't just have like Argenti or Aptistant stuff. You do need to have like Aini armors or Rayar and Fugel guards and have some decent augments on them. I don't know what I'd exactly recommend for potency. Currently I have 178.5% and I can't even kill it because it really relies on the whole group or the whole room to be pulling their weight to kill it fully. So if you're in like a public group, unfortunately, a lot of players are just still using their Argentis or other weird combinations of gearing, so you're most likely not going to fully kill it with a public group. You're going to need a passworded room with like friends that are geared or like-minded individuals that really want to kill the thing. But now you may be wondering, is it actually worth going all the way like that? What are the rewards for the different tiers of going farther and farther with this boss or anything extra within the Crimson Realm? Well, you actually get those new augments, which are Triyal Augments. There's 3 different kinds right now: Spiro Triyal, Wardrobe Triyal, and Guaro Triyal. You get a varying amount guaranteed every single time you do the Driveris trial. So if you do 1 out of 4, so 25% of its HP, you get 3 of each of these. If you do the 50%, or 2 out of 4, you get 5 of each. If you do 3 out of 4, you get 10 of each. If you fully kill the thing, 4 out of 4, you get 15 of each. So quite a big difference, and in addition to that, you can get Foundia from the different tiers, which is used in Lux Halfinale. I believe with tiers 1 and 2, you only get 1 of these. If you do 3 or 4, you get 2 of these. And also, you can get Ainia armors to drop with this trial, and even the Rayar series. And it seems like the further you go, the higher chance that you get of obtaining that 10 and 9-star gear. One individual on Discord actually shared this image where they got 2 rare weapons for killing Driveris, in addition to Anya armor and all those guaranteed augments. So I would say if you're going after rares, trying to get duplicates of them for like fix enhancement or whatever, this may be the best way if you can actually kill the boss. Back to these augments though, you can also obtain them from killing the bosses at the end of PSC bursts. So like get a couple of them, but it's not guaranteed. And then also sometimes just random enemies can drop them when you're doing like trials or whatever. But for what these actually do, they give you 3.5% potency for any one that you have, but they also have a drawback depending on their prefix. So Spiro has -5 photon points, Wardrow has -50% all down resistance, and Guaro has -5% damage resistance. These are so significant that you can't really just ignore those drawbacks, but it is still 3.5% potency. So you do gotta like keep in mind on how you play the game, what augments you already have, and your skill level. So, for instance, if you already have like best in slot from previous, then these aren't really useful to you because you're already going to have very high potency augments or ones with high potency and high floor potency. But if you're still using like LC augments, you could consider these. The reason I say that is because most LC augments don't reach that 3.5% potency mark. The only 2 that do is Gladius Soul LC, which is on par, and then Halfinale LC, which is actually a little bit above. But you can replace things like High Ale Domina, for instance, because it only has 2.75% potency and 2% potency floor, which that is going to be worse than 3.5% straight up potency. And then like Gigas Mass Stage, just straight up better by 0.25%. So you just gotta ask yourself, what is best for your situation? Would you rather take the positive substats and a little bit less potency, or would you take the huge drawbacks and a little bit more potency? You just got to really figure that out, and to throw a wrench in it, you can actually put on all 3 Trials on a single piece of gear, because they're not considered the same category of augment. So for this Anya armor, for example, I have the Spiro, the Wardrow, and the Guaro on. I definitely wouldn't recommend doing this for everyone, but if I was to choose how you would do this, you definitely would want to use Wardrow first, because it's just minus all down resistance, which means when you get hit by an elemental attack that can cause a status effect, then it's more likely to cause that status effect. But it doesn't like extend the duration or anything like that, so it isn't that big of a deal, and a lot of attacks don't even do status to begin with. So it isn't a huge drawback like the other 2, which happen all the time. So like whenever you get hit on Guaro, you're always going to be taking more damage, which can lead to death, which means you're doing 0 damage when you're on the floor. So maybe not putting on too many of these is a good idea, but it's kind of up to you on that. With the photon points, if you have too much minus of that, you could be hitting, rock bottom 0 on your photon point bar. And at that point, you're going to be doing like normals or other weird ways to get photon points back, which usually doing normals means less damage than when you're doing PAs or techniques. So you just gotta, balance that out, not have too many for the type of build that you have. Long story short, I would recommend putting Wardrow Trial on all pieces of your gear if you don't have best in slot already, because it's an easy replacement for like an LC augment. And then Guaro would be second, because it doesn't really impact your DPS like the photon point from Spiro does. If you still need to replace any other LC augments that are lower. And then if you really need to, then you can put on the Spiro Trial for a little bit more damage. But I wouldn't recommend it as much as the other 2. For best in slot augments, this hasn't really changed, having an XD, Lux Halfinale, Gladius Soul, and Gigas Mass Day, then like High Conveyor Domina, and Grand Dreadkeeper. But for specific builds that have a lot of crit rates, so you're not usually using that floor potency that you would get from High Conveyor Domina or Grand Dreadkeeper, then these Trials can actually be better than those because they give you just straight up potency. So builds that have like Fixa Fatale at a very high level, like maybe playing Slayer as a sub or main in addition to that, that can make Trial a little bit better than those previous 2 augments. That's pretty much it for the Triyal Augments in the Crimson Realm. But like I mentioned before, it is limited content, so it will be leaving eventually. Looks like that date is March 12th, so make sure to farm as much as you want before that date. Hopefully, though, in the future, they do return to this idea because I do think it's a good one. This needs to be expanded upon in some way. And hopefully, they return to like other regions, bouncing back and forth with the Crimson Realm, or make it a permanent addition to all the regions. So every day, there's one combat zone that you can go to that has this Crimson Realm, and it makes a combat zone, viable or very good for that day. So you're not just doing the same exact one at all times. That isn't all there is to this update, though. There is a new AC scratch ticket, Basilisk Beauty, which has different Chinese dresses for Type 2, exospine outfits for both Type 1 and Type 2, and then dinosaur-themed cast parts for Type 1 and Type 2 as well. And then a whole bunch of emotes and motions that kind of relate to like Power Rangers or Super Sentai, at least it looks like it to me. So pretty good stuff overall with this AC scratch ticket, and there should be some expensive items in there if you're looking to get some Maceta. For campaigns, there is a pre-announced urgent quest schedule that you can find on the website that I'll link down below somewhere. And then with this, you can do 2 urgent quests when they appear, so you can do them back to back. And then all the enemies in those urgent quests have less HP, so you can do them faster within that time to actually be able to do the 2 during that duration. So you can get a lot of like Age of Soul 4s, for instance, with the still ongoing limited time urgent quest for Halfia Lake. And then also this week, there is Ultra PSO2 Day again, but only for premium users. So you got to have premium to get its benefits, or at least the buffs with them. This lasts until the 25th, so Sunday at 7 a.m. Eastern. And then for the buffs, it's the same as before, 100% XP earned, 200% rare drop rate, and 200% drop item preset skill rate for pretty much everything in the game. There are some instances where you only get the XP earned and not these 2 things. That should be shown in game. There's also limited time tasks, which you can get star gems, which is available to all players. You can still do those for the SG. And then there's also benefits in like base PSO2. But if you log in, everybody gets 100 star gems, 4 special scratch tickets, and a preset skill enhanced success rate plus 15%. So that's pretty good. And then a 20% augmentation success rate booster. Alongside this Ultra PSO2 Day, there is deals in the SG shop. So you can get these packs for a certain amount of star gems, where you can get extended storage use for 30 days, rare drop rate 24 hours times 2, and then get renewed resolve tickets, which is the SG scratch going on right now. And then also for this Ultra Support set, you get 2 Halfin Allies. Keep in mind that isn't S versions, so it's just regular ones. And then a Astrio S, which is good for slapping on to like fodder to use as enhancement for anything that you're trying to upgrade, like Rayars or Flugelguards, for instance. At the end of the week, there will be another NGS headline, as they always do, once per month. It should show us what's upcoming with the month of March. For March, it's pretty much going to be a seasonal event month, so like limited time quests, getting seasonal points, getting some freebies, that kind of thing. But also in March, it looks like we'll be getting a new type of standing party quest, which I heard they said that there will be 2 difficulties to it, so an easier version and a harder version. Not quite sure what it will be, though. And then also a new dual quest Phase 4. So there should be new Defi augments attached to that, which probably comes from the seasonal event. And with it should be a new best in slot augment that we can craft using who knows what. With this one, though, it said that they'll make it easier to get the Defi augments or even pre-upgraded gear to do the dual quest. So we'll have to see what happens with that. In addition, it looks like they'll be unveiling info on new collabs, possibly the ones from April or May, which is anime based on a shonen manga, and with games from other companies. So maybe 1 or 2 of those. And then also they'll be showing sneak peek footage of the standing super high difficulty party quest scheduled for release in April. So it looks like the big boss boy right here. So probably something like Darkfall Solace, a new major fight. We'll know for sure when this releases. But that's everything that I have for this week's update. Let me know what you guys think of the Crimson Realm and those Triyal Augments, because they're definitely interesting, and I would like to see more done with stuff like that. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.